Hi, my name is Alexis. I'm a relationship counselor, and as you know, my job is to help you get back with your ex. In this video specifically, we're gonna look at how you can make your ex regret breaking up with you. You'll see what you should be doing. You also understand their psychology. As you know, I use a lot of studies and statistics, and if you have a mindset of someone who is ready to take action, who's ready to be invested, well, this video is for you. I'll explain everything after the jingle.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
So I used this graph to explain the perceived, it's really important, the word perceived value through time, your perceived value. When you got married, engaged, the beginning of the relationship, it was really a high, it was, in your ex's mind, you were something very important. You had something with a lot of value in their life. And over time, something happened, and there's so many reasons why people sort of split apart. But over time, your value decreased, right? And usually you reach a threshold where your partner decided, like, I think I'm going to be better off breaking up. I think I'm going to be happier if I'm single. I think I'm going to be enjoying life. I won't get hurt anymore if I'm single. And so this is where, sort of a snapshot of the situation, and I'll explain you exactly why I'm using this perceived value. It's very important, the term perceived. Prove them wrong. It's the thing you have to do. And this is what I do with my clients. I almost say that to every of them when I speak with them. Your job is to prove them wrong. And what happens if you want your ex to regret the decision is they need to realize that the outcome that they expected, that they planned, is not as good as they thought. In a way, they thought that the grass would be greener elsewhere. They thought that they'll have a happier life, that things will be easier, emotionally, romantically, intimate with the intimacy and everything like that, by being alone, by being without you. And you have to prove them wrong. And so, generally speaking, if I look at the definition of regret, is we are not sure whether things could have been different. And so the thing is to really remove that certainty. It's something, and I almost quote word by word, he's never going to change, I know him. Or things that you'll never change. Because if we look back at the graph, we have some occurrences where our ex is like, okay, I'm going to give you a chance. And I'm about to call it, to say that we want to break up, I need a breakup, but like, I'm going to give you another chance. And maybe you failed that sort of assessment, that test. And maybe you failed a few times. So now things get real. It doesn't mean that it's irreversible. It doesn't mean that you can't change. It doesn't mean that you can't make them realize that they didn't believe in you and that in a way they were wrong. It means that you have harder work to do. It's going to be a little bit harder. It's going to require a little bit more effort, and it's going to take a little bit more time. So, how your ex perceive you today? This. She or he will only remember the last weeks or months of the relationship, where everything was falling apart. And in a way, your job is to make them remember the first part of the relationship, that amazing connection that you had. And in reality, there's this aspect, and there's also the aspect of people change. Your ex has changed. It's really disturbing, the sun that I have in my face. Anyway, I guess now I'm going to be tan by the end of the video. It's really important for you to understand that, yes, sometimes people change. Maybe your ex is going through a life crisis. It doesn't really matter. It's how you can adapt yourself. And we look at what you should be doing to adapt yourself to bring your value back up. Okay? And it's perceived value. You're not like a worse person than before. It's just about how you can market yourself in a way where she or he sees you in the right way. So the question is whether your ex will change his or her mind. There's been studies about whether people have still feelings when they decide to break up. And the thing is, it depends on the statistics, but for long relationship, it's about 70%, 75% of people, they still have feelings when they decide to break up. So it means that we can definitely use that foundation for an advantage. the length of the relationship is also a big factor. So if we take a short relationship, it's down to 50%, because let's say, you know, when you're a teenager, when you're in 20s and you don't necessarily invest time in, you know, you just browse around and test relationship, of course, these relationships are not meant to last. And it's why if you're not sure whether these techniques or this video applies to you, I would recommend you to take the quiz. I put together a quiz to know if you have any chance to get back with your ex, because if you fall into the category of either not really recoverable relationships, or relationships that are, if you're a bit too young, or if you're in a relationship that has been less than 6 months, those tips may not apply. If, however, you have a score above 15 on the quiz, it definitely means that you can apply those strategies and you can maximize your chance to get back with your ex. That's what I do for a living, basically. So it's time to take action, right? It's time to take action. It's time to change their perceived value of you. It's time to really market yourself. It's time to work on yourself. However, don't change too fast. Don't try to think like, okay, she broke up or he broke up with me last week, and I'm going to show him, I'm going to prove him or her that I'm going to change, and I'm going to do it like right away. Be mindful of those kind of attitude, because you don't want to have this, and I take the example of a yo-yo diet where people say like, I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to lose 10 kilos or 3 stones in a week. What happens when you do that is that you gain more weight over the long run, and this is what happens with the yo-yo diet. You actually gain weight as a result of trying to lose weight very, very quickly. So what you have to do is to really plan your change. You're planning this because you want to have sustainable effort. You don't want your ex to think he's just pretending, he's just playing at it, he's like just buying his way in, he's just trying to work it out. It needs to be really a fundamental change, something, and we'll look at what it means, that your ex can perceive, because she or he knows you very well. So if you're pretending, if you're faking it, they will notice it right away. So the thing is, now it's time for you to reflect on your role in the breakup and what you need to work on. Is it about your attachment issues, your lifestyle? Maybe you're workaholic, and your ex told you so many times, I don't want you to work 70 hours per week, I want you to spend more time with me. And you couldn't, and now you realize that actually you value more your personal relationship than your work, and you're ready to change, so change job, basically. So what else is that about? Anger management? Is that about your kids? How can you spend more time with those kids? So really make a list of things, the reasons your ex decided to choose to make that decision, and work on those things. And it needs to be a 6 months goal. It needs to be a year goal. It needs to be a lifetime goal. You know, if it's about changing job, maybe you've been invested in that job, in that career for 20 years. Really reflect whether it is the right thing to do for you. Okay, so do it for you first. If you're not really okay about changing job, about having a more balanced lifestyle, you don't feel comfortable with that, well, don't do it. I would argue, don't do it, because what you have to do is for you first. Okay, and if it's not what you want, really reassess whether getting back with your ex is the right decision for you right now. Okay, if you're not sure, if it doesn't make sense, or if you just want to have a chat with me, there's a link in the description where you can book 15-minute discovery call, and I'll be more than happy to have a chat with you. Take action. So this breakup is emotionally draining, and I've been there, and it's awful, and depending on how long how far the breakup was, even after months, some people still feel that anxiety, that this really strong negative emotion. And one way to cope with this is to focus on growth. The reason you feel so emotionally drained, so anxious, is because you have this dependency, and we all have that. It's not a question of being weak or not. We all have that dependency on our partners. And now you have to to shift from that dependency to being more selfish. And I know it's very interesting, because most of my clients, they're really caring, they're really invested, they're really the opposite of selfish. And so what I force them to do is to be a bit more selfish. Now that you are single, now that you have, it's about 30 hours per week available now for you. It's time for you to project manage those hours, to really focus on those 3 hours on yourself. And this is why inner contact is good for you. It's good because it provides you that space. It provides you that space and time for you to reflect, for you to work on yourself, for you to find new things to do, hobbies or activities, but not to stay on your own. Okay, because if you stay in the status quo, remember the graph of the value, you'll stay at the bottom of the graph. Okay, so now it's how you can move up as you do for yourself, and also the result is to show your ex that actually you've changed for good, right? So, but how can you change? That's the question. If you're a client of mine, yes, because you made the decision and I've already assessed that you are suitable for coaching. So the one thing that I assess with my clients is when I onboard them is whether they have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. A fixed mindset is that you think that you have a some sort of potential and it's the same for the rest of your life. You think that I'm lazy and I've been lazy for the most of my life and I'll be lazy for or I'm not really a kids person. And so that's the way I am. My father was like that and I will never change. So that is fixed mindset. A growth mindset is actually, well, I know that if I make some effort, I know that I can learn, I can grow. Even though I feel I'm a bit not a kid person, actually I know that if I really want to, I can work towards getting this aspect, this new skill set. And there's been a lot of neuroscience studies on this. Because of the plasticity of the brain, we do learn at every single stage of our life. Of course, when you're a kid, it's very plastic, and so you can change and learn very quickly, like a new language and stuff like that. But even if you're 50, 60, you can still learn, you can still change and adapt. So now the question is, if you're watching this video and you've been single for quite a while, do you see any progress? Is there anything that is holding you back? Do you have any support system? Because again, we're looking at long-term objective goals. And it's really important for you to assess whether you're making any progress, whether there's something preventing you from achieving those goals, and whether you have a support system. And support system could be anything such as your best mate. So we have like sort of a group of support. I've created those WhatsApp groups. So you are basically in a WhatsApp group with about between 10 and 20 people, where you can basically get help and support from each other, from people who are going through the same situation. It's really, really powerful to have those experiences from people who are different sex, who have live in different countries, have different situation. That's really helpful. That's really helping you. That could be a way for you to help stay motivated. Another support system could be seeing a therapist, seeing a counselor like myself, someone who can help you keep track of your goal and keep yourself motivated, because as I mentioned before, it's really emotionally draining, and that change, it's even harder when you are not emotionally available to work on that. Well, that's it. Don't forget to click on the like button, on the subscribe, do whatever you want in the video, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
I get my exback.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.